I've seen this in the African American community, especially in car accidents and just dealing with personal injury cases. When the insurance company knows a lot about you, they'll do background checks. They may even put out a private investigator on you, right? They're going to know your social security number. They're going to know all kinds of things about you. And they're going to say, oh, well, this person has X amount of debt. He needs some money. So we'll just throw a couple of dollars at him and he'll probably take it and run. Or this person has never seen this amount of money in their lifetime. So why should we pay them this much?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
it's
definitely something that society, we have to grow up from, being able to recognize that human beings are not perfect. People make mistakes. Part of, love is about forgiveness. That, the greatest of us are servants. And so to be great, you must be a servant.
That's right.
And that's the best position to have. And I think that's the mentality that you have to be in as an attorney.
Let's talk about communication. Let's talk about the love. Let's talk about communication. Oh, let's talk about the love. Let's talk about communication. Let's talk about the love. Let's talk about communication. Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, William Robinson of TLC Talk Love and Communication, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. We have attorney Anthony D. Thomas of Thomas Law Firm. He gonna give us some wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and some input into his life, how he became the man today, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, we all got one life to live, but it's a whole lot easier with love and communication. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give this young man a special round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. All right there, Mr. Thomas. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, sir.
Doing pretty good. How's your ride overworld, man?
Fair. I-75 can be, troubling, but I have two offices, one in Tallahassee, one in Ocala, so I'm back and forth between.
On the regular.
Yeah, man. So I-10, I-75, those are my two main veins,
Okay. I know you got some breakfast on the way, huh? Where you stopped at?
Oh, man, no. Traveling, man. You can't eat too heavy, man. So, get you a little bit of water, maybe a piece of toast or something,
Got
man.
sleep, man. I get on you.
Yeah, boy. Can't have that.
I tell you what. So tell my audience a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, I'm born and raised in Ocala, Florida. Came through, public school. I went to A Street Elementary School, Osceola Middle, Forest High School. From there, I graduated in 1998, moved to Tallahassee. Went to Tallahassee Community College for a little while, and then over to FAMU, where I graduated from the School of Business and Industry, where I got my business degree. And then in 2004, had the opportunity to go to law school, FAMU's law school, and I got a law degree. So that part of my life, it seems like it was a very long time ago, but it wasn't. And at the same time, where I am today, I believe all of those foundations, those things that I went through from elementary school to growing up in Ocala, to going to FAMU, to an HBCU, and getting a law degree and understanding life a little better, has helped me so much so today, where I'm just blessed to be able to live and work as an attorney who owns his own business.
Why law?
So I've always had an interest in business. And so while in business school, you have to learn the legal aspects of business. And so I had several courses at FAMU where attorneys were actually teaching these classes in business school. And I just got sort of turned on to just those legal aspects of business. And then I was working in Tallahassee at this place called Play It Again Sports, selling home gym equipment, things like that. And a gentleman walks in and I'm talking to him. I'm trying to sell. I'm being a salesman. So of course the salesman is going to say, what do you do for a living? That kind of thing. I'm trying to gauge how much money he got. So he's just figure out how much he's going to spend. Right. So he's telling me that, he's an attorney and that, he works at a law firm and they do business law, that kind of thing. And of course, I'm interested at that point in college. I'm interested in internships. Internship was a big thing to do while in business school because a lot of the students want to be able to get that job once they graduate. So you do the internship, maybe they'll offer you a job.
Right.
And so I'm just chit-chatting with the gentleman, trying to, get to know him a little bit. And he's telling me, oh, yeah, well, we have interns in our office. They, do this and, what he was explaining to me what the interns do. And so I said, well, are they paid internships? He was like, yeah. So he's telling me he makes $450 an hour. Eyes got big, ears got bigger. Right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, $450 an hour.
And he worked for the law firm.
Right. And I'm like, I don't know nobody make $450 an hour.
In my whole life, Craig.
Right. and so I was like, well, yeah, interns, he goes like, well, interns sometimes can get bonuses and things like that. But, sometimes the intern, if the intern is becomes a paralegal, they can get up to $50 to $100 an hour. And I'm like, $50 to $100 an hour. It's
still more than what
seems like second place still good, right? Yeah. So I'm completely intrigued by this at this point. So long story short, I think I sold him a treadmill. He gave me his card. I'm not sure if I called the dude back, but I do remember going home that same day, going to my computer and looking up lawyer. What kind of lawyer? The types of lawyers, the kinds of law, all those kinds of things. And that was the decision that I made right there. That was my fork in the road, man. I said at that point, not only will I get this degree in business, but I will definitely, I am definitely interested in law school. I immediately started looking at law school applications, right? You got to take an entrance exam. It's called the LSAT. And so all of those things were just completely, I guess I was just completely engaged in those things because I knew right then and there, the financial aspect of it all, right, is what turned me on. But I also had, going through business school, that appreciation for the law. And then realizing, hey, wait a minute, I can go to law school and I can make $450 an hour? That was probably one of the most inspiring things that ever happened to me in my life, man. And I can tell you, that's when the light bulb went off. That's when it all clicked. And I knew right then and there, I that's what I wanted to do.
A lot of times in life, when we faced with split decisions, it could be very impactful in our life. And even you being a lawyer and being in the courtroom, you have to instantly, you have to be quick-minded. You have to think quick. You have to one word on top of the next. But someone else is depending on you to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a challenge. And you always have to live up to that challenge, rise to the occasion. Because, when you're advocating on behalf of someone, you have to make sure, number one, you know what you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Number two, that you are really putting their best interest in mind, because if not, why are you there? Most people can say, oh, I'm a lawyer. I can put on a fancy suit, walk into a courtroom, speak the King's English real well, and, look like a dandy, Or you can be that kind of lawyer who is really concerned about the issues and your client's concerns. Take that to heart and work the best that you can at it.
What's the percentages of those who care and is only there for the paycheck?
Wow, man. I think that really comes with personality. And it's hard to really take an account of the percentages. But if I had to just take from my own experience, half the lawyers that I've, come into contact with or been able to work with or against are really just trying to do their job. They're really trying to do their job, get paid and go home because they have another life. Some lawyers, the law becomes their life.
Right.
And those are the people who, take it very seriously. And you're not saying that the other lawyers don't, but it's a different sort of feel.
It's like anything in life. You got your Nick Saban, your Bill Belichick's, and then you got, your whoever else. You know what I'm saying? Some people's going to take it the extra mile, and results come from the Bill Belichick's and the Nick Sabans. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, definitely. I often find myself, because I do run a business, I do have to make money, I do have a family, you know what I'm saying? I do have to pay bills, right? So I always have to maintain the business sense, right? Will my work make me money? Because if I just work and work and work and can't bring home a check, well, my wife is going to be looking at me crazy, like, hey, maybe you need to consider doing something else. So I have to look at the business aspect of, my work as well. So I do a lot of work that is just there to make sure that I'm able to get compensation from my clients. I get a percentage of that compensation, and we work towards a certain goal. Then there's the other cases, those cases that they call pro bono. Really, you don't really get paid for that kind of stuff. It's usually just some sort of civic duty that you have to uphold to take care of somebody because their legal rights are in jeopardy, and you have to make sure that they know their rights, right? And as an attorney, you really have to, work at that and make sure that you are
you attack it with the same enthusiasm.
Exactly.
And I think that boils down to integrity. Who you are as a person, as a human being, more so than the job that's required. Because if it's in you, what's in you can't come out of you. Right. If it's not in you, it can't come out of you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're a man of integrity, your name is on the line, whether it's pro bono, because we got all this social media and everything, but it still boils down to word of mouth.
Yeah. You're right. I don't have the big billboards on the side of the roads and that kind of thing. So I appreciate when, my clients appreciate me. Sometimes I have clients who don't appreciate me because it's the same personality type across the board. Whereas someone may be injured in a car accident and they're seriously injured. And, their focus is getting well. I'd rather have the ability to walk than this check for $100,000. And then I have other clients who, may not be as hurt as they claim to be, you know what I mean? Because it could be psychological for them. And they expect the $100,000 as if it's some sort of lottery or if they're entitled to it for some reason. And I get it, you know what I mean? If you have an opportunity to be compensated in a way that you don't usually get compensated for, put some money in your pocket, it can change your life. It can do some things for you. And some, people get the mind frame of, I need this money, not I need to get well. I need to treat with my doctors. I need to make sure that I'm doing the physical therapy that I need to do so I can strengthen myself to get back healthy again. They don't care. They're just really concerned about getting paid. And once they get paid, that money's gone. Now what's left?
Yep.
You're still in poor health. And so I try to not really gauge the personality of my clients to a point where I, sort of talk down to them, but I really try to make it clear to them that you only get one body. God gives us one body, you need to take care of it. If you want to be here, $100,000 today, it could be gone tomorrow.
Can't even buy a house.
No. So I try to give my clients that sort of perspective. And I think that helps me to relate to them. It makes them appreciate the fact that I'm not just in it for the money as well. I want to make sure that they're healthy.
And I think that in any type of business, most people, I can tell if it's like going into a doctor's office. You can sense discernment if this doctor care about me as a person or if I'm just a name on a chart. Some doctors, they don't even make eye contact with you. They just in and out, looking down, writing, and they gone. Some of them actually take time to explain to you. You don't feel rushed. And that's the same way I would assume as an attorney and so forth. Anybody that's giving a service, being paid to give hospitality. No different than being a chef when you go to a restaurant, anything of that nature, correct?
Correct. Definitely. You definitely have to have a service mentality. You know, I think Martin Luther King said it best, and I think he was probably quoting scripture, but he says that the greatest of us are servants. And so to be great, you must be a servant.
That's right.
And that's the best position to have. And I think that's the mentality that you have to be in as an attorney. You know, you just have to make sure that you have that level of client care, or in a doctor's perspective, they call it bedside manners, you know, that kind of thing, right. to make people feel like they're important to you. Because they are, because, you know, without them, you know.
That's right. And you must understand that without these people being injured, you wouldn't have a job.
Exactly.
Now, first of all, let's back up, and I want you to explain to my audience, what kind of attorney are you, sir?
All right. So I wear many hats as an attorney. So my love or my passion is personal injury. And I graduated from law school with an opportunity during law school to intern under attorney Benjamin Crump. At the time, this was 2005. So he does civil rights full time now, but back then the law firm was a personal injury law firm. So my first assignments were car accidents and things like that. So I kind of cut my teeth on those kinds of cases. Not only that, but after that internship in his office, I went back to law school and aced, you know, my they call it torts, but it's a personal injury kind of law kind of class. And I became really good at that. And so my interest into that type of law, not just automobile accidents, but also handle negligent security. I also handle slip and fall incidents, premise liability situations, any kind of situation where someone is hurt and it may be someone else's fault. I investigate negligence.
And that's a wide range.
It's a very wide range. And so just think about all the different ways people can become injured. You know, I have cases where people have been in hotel rooms and the bed collapses on them, right? And they're injured from that. I've had cases or clients that have been on amusement park rides and the amusement park ride broke on them and they broke their leg on the amusement park ride. I've had clients who were just eating breakfast 3:00 in the morning at a Waffle House and someone shoots up the Waffle House. I've had clients where people get shot at nightclubs.
So in incidents like that, you can, if I'm at the Waffle House, if I'm in a public place and a drive-by take place and I'm injured, I can sue someone for that?
Waffle House.
But how is it the Waffle House fault that somebody, you know, drove by and shot someone? You know?
And I'm glad you brought that up. So the law provides for, if you own a business, your business invitees, those people who you invite to your business, right? If you know that your business is in a bad neighborhood, and not only that, but if you have, or if you know or should know that more likely than not, certain time of night in that neighborhood where your business is, someone's going to get shot, well, you have a duty to make your premises, your business, reasonably safe for your business invitees. You can't invite them to your business 3:00 in the morning when you know it's shooting and carrying on going on around your business, because they may get hurt trying to eat your food. Well, that could be your fault. And so that's what I investigate for my clients. That level of fault. Who's at fault? Why are they at fault? What happened? What did they not do to make their premises reasonably safe?
You know, back in the days, you know, you get into certain things and sometimes the lawyer will be like, criminal lawyers. Well, I wish this was a simple case where you got pulled over and they found such and such in your car. That's an easy case because I can say, well, you say your windows were tinted, your windows weren't tinted, whatever the situation. They profile you, they find whatever's in the car is no more good because they had no reason to.
Yeah.
You
call it the fruit of the poisonous tree.
Right. So with that being said, in your type cases, I mean, what is considered? Oh, that's a sweet one. You know what I mean? Like in an incident like that.
So there are elements to each case, right? So you first have to establish the duty, right? Who or what person or what company has a duty to make whatever reasonably safe, okay? And then once you've established if they have a duty, then you have to look at, did they breach that duty, okay? And if they breached that duty, then you have to figure out the facts on how they did that. And then the third element is what caused the injury, okay? And that's when you really get into the nooks and the crannies of who did what, who said what, and all that kind of stuff. What caused that injury? And then finally, you want your damages. What are those damages? For instance, if I'm at Waffle House and they shoot up Waffle House and I didn't get hurt, well, my damages are not going to be as much as the person who did get hurt or who did get shot. You know what I mean? Right. I may have a claim because of what may have happened to me, but chances are the value of my claim is not going to be as substantial as it would be to someone who's laying on the ground in a pool of blood.
And how do they gauge the psychological part? Because two people can go through the same type thing and trauma can affect them different. And with research, we understand that trauma is is serious.
Oh yeah,
it's real,
definitely.
So that person may, it may be as simple as tires were squeaking right before the gunshots, and every time they hear that, they panic, they go under the table, they hide, they run, or whatever. How can you, from a lawyer standpoint, how do they prove that this person actually does suffer from trauma, and how are they compensated?
Emotional distress is a very serious damage that I also investigate when we're looking at damages. So you can be physically damaged or you can be mentally damaged as well. The law provides that there has to be some sort of physical manifestation of that mental distress, like you just described, the triggering of a tire screech or something like that may trigger someone. That's a physical manifestation of that mental distress that has to be documented, like all injuries. And so if you're at home and you're having psychological issues from whatever traumatized you and you're not seeking help for that, then a lot of times it's very difficult for an attorney to prove those things. A lot of times people like to play tough and say, oh, it's just something I can get through, or they just, black people, we like to pray about it, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with praying about it. But if you talking to God about that, that's between you and God. Your attorney can't take that to the judge and say this, right? These kinds of things have to be documented. And so it's always important, if you have emotional distress from any situation, you should always seek help.
And I think a lot of times the people, they give up because it's like they drag it out so long. They want you to do this for so long. If I'm hurt, I'm actually hurting, but you want me to get up and go to this place. It's putting a strain on you. You know what I mean? The gas, the time, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And sometimes insurance run out and your personal insurance, and you have to continue to pay out your pocket and you're not able to. So it's like, and they give up because it's like you waiting a year, 2-3 years to get compensated.
Yeah. That happens. I have, I explain to my clients that, okay, the average case, I don't care if it's a car accident or some sort of other traumatic experience that you may have, 18 to 24 months. The process of trying to determine your damages is what takes the most time. I have clients who will call me 3 or 4 days after I take their case from a car accident Hey, I'm just checking on the status of my case. Well, I have to explain to them that I can't make a determination on the value of your case, nor can I try to communicate with any insurance companies or anything about the value of your case until a doctor has been able to document your injuries, the severity of your injuries. Mm-hmm. The law is designed to compensate you for your injuries, not to just pay you because something has happened to you.
Right.
And people get that misunderstanding. They think if something happens to me, oh, I'm going to get paid. Wrong.
You're only getting paid because you're injured.
You're only getting paid because you're injured. And the only way to prove that you're injured is if you go to the doctor and follow doctor's orders, right? I have clients who I often try to just sort of encourage, hey, listen, do not miss your doctor's appointment. If the doctor said he needs to see you twice a week or you need to be in physical therapy 3 times a week, go. Because if you don't go, the insurance companies are going to scrutinize those medical records. And if you don't go, it shows up on your medical records to say, oh, well, William Robinson had to be to the doctor today. He didn't come. No call, no show. The insurance company reads that and they say, oh, well, he must not be hurt.
Yeah, he's not as bad as I thought he was.
He must not be hurt. And then turn around, you get to the point where you're trying to negotiate some sort of settlement and the insurance company is lowballing you and you're mad because you feel like, they're just taking advantage of you when what you really didn't do was what we've been trying to explain to you, how you're going to get compensated. If you don't go to your doctor's appointments, if you don't listen to your attorney, these things could alter your results.
Okay, for my audience, some traits you should look for in any type of attorney. If you're seeking an attorney, what are some good traits to look for to let you know you may be hiring the right person?
Well, in any case, you should always want the attorney to tell you the truth. Okay? You should always want an attorney to be real with you because people have different expectations of what a lawyer can do. I have some clients who, would want for me to tell their doctors what they need. I can't do that, right? Only you know what you're experiencing and what you're going through. I can't cook a case for you like that because they think if the lawyer's got his hand in it, then I'll get the best results. No, that's not how it works. Especially,
basically, I'm gonna fight with you. I can't fight for you, but I'll fight with you.
And then, sometimes you have to just make sure that you are able to talk to the attorney about what you want, what your expectations are. Because if your expectations are different than what the lawyer sees, then there's got to be a meeting of the minds there. There has to be a conversation because I can say, hey, Mr. Robinson, I'm going to get you, $1 million for this case. Right? But I'm not telling you that you're not going to take home $1 million. You know what I'm saying? In your mind, you might think I'm getting $1 million in my pocket.
But all your surgeries and your rehab and all of that.
Medical expenses, lawyer fees, all of that, by the time everything gets chopped up, you may end up with a third of that. Mm-hmm. And you're saying, well, dang, what happened to my $1 million? I only got a few $100,000 here and, I got to deal with this wheelchair situation. That's the reality. Mm-hmm. And so I think that if anyone is looking for a personal injury attorney, I wouldn't want to give anybody advice about a criminal attorney because I don't do criminal law. Right. But on a general aspect, as long as that lawyer is being upfront with you about the results or the conclusions of what that lawyer sees in your case, that's what you should appreciate.
How often do you go to trial in these type cases, or is it most of the time it's always settlements?
So in personal injury, 90% of the cases settle. I would say maybe about these days, because the insurance industry has been so, I guess I wouldn't call it an obstructionist with settlements, but you usually have to prove to the insurance company that you're willing to take your client's case to trial, right? So a lot of times when your client is initially injured, we'll just use a car accident. They go through a level of treatment, maybe some chiropractic treatment, things like that. At the conclusion of your treatment, I get the medical records. I submit those medical records to the insurance company in an effort to settle. Good faith effort to settle, okay? I'm going to ask the insurance company for their policy limits because I'm not going to sell my client short. But you definitely want to make sure that you make an attempt to resolve the case. Insurance companies will lowball. I had one attorney tell me who used to be an insurance adjuster. They had 3 words on the wall, or actually 4 words on the wall. Deny, delay, don't pay. Right? And that was their mindset from the insurance company's point of view. I have to struggle with that. I also have to gauge that and explain to my client, hey, listen, I know you feel your case is this, but if you want to settle, this is what they're offering to settle. If you think that that is beneath you or they're just trying to throw pennies at you, then we have to file this lawsuit and go talk to the judge about it.
And wait longer. Because not only have we gone through this whole process of medical treatment, physical therapy, that kind of thing, trying to resolve your case with the insurance company, but now we got to go file this lawsuit and get behind everybody else who got a lawsuit at the courthouse. And see, the main thing out of those words, those 4 words, is that delay. Because they figure if we just be patient and make them wait long enough, they'll settle.
It's the long game.
Yeah.
And quite often, especially I've seen this in the African American community, especially in car accidents and just dealing with personal injury cases. When the insurance company knows a lot about you, they'll do background checks. They may even put out a private investigator on you, right? They're going to know your social security number. They're going to know all kinds of things about you. And they're going to say, oh, well, this person has X amount of debt. He needs some money. So we'll just throw a couple of dollars at him and he'll probably take it and run. Or this person has never seen this amount of money in their lifetime. So why should we pay them this much?
Right.
That kind of thing. So it's almost like a social economic status situation where these insurance companies engage, their risk. Like if I'm I'll just say I'm a professional bicyclist and I get into a car accident and I break my leg. Well, my legs are my livelihood. Mm-hmm. If I don't have my legs, I can't feed my family versus someone who is just,
going for a ride in the park
and breaks their leg. The value of that break is totally different according to the insurance companies because they assess the risk. If I take this professional bicyclist and he goes and takes this case to a courtroom and has to testify in front of a jury, the jury's going to be in tears when his wife is sitting up there talking about, we had to lose our house and we had to do this and we had to do that because he broke his leg, versus someone who broke their leg, was able to do surgery and get back to their desk job, right? There's not going to be so much of a risk there for the insurance company if that story versus the other is taken in court. And so, you have to, and that's just life. We all don't have the same path. And so you just have to look at your clients and explain to them, hey, listen, this is what your case may settle for outside of court. This is what your case may, resolve for in court. Not only that, but it's a coin toss once you get into the courtroom because you might have a jury who's not sympathetic to your situation and say, oh, well, yeah, the accident wasn't his fault, but we'll just agree to pay his medical bills. And that's it. You walk away with your bills paid and no money in your pocket. And so those are the risks in going to trial. And so it's a very, they call it a legal minefield. Whereas, you might step on a bomb or trip a wire or something. Yeah. So you gotta walk.
You're at war.
Yeah.
You trying to get it, their job is to keep it. So that's just simple as that.
Right.
You're the enemy, you're the opponent, and that's the bottom line.
Yes, exactly.
Let's talk about your experience at the HBCU.
Okay.
How was that like?
FAMU was the greatest experience for me in my life. Okay. I was able to come outside of Ocala, small town. Everybody pretty much knows each other. Back then, we had maybe 4 high schools, right? Mm-hmm. You had Forest, Vanguard, Dunellen, Bellevue, Lakeware, right? Now it's
Bellevue and Lake Ware.
well, Lake Ware was there.
Well, Lake Ware was there. North Marion.
North Marion, and then Bellevue came, I think, towards the mid to late 90s or something like that.
Yeah.
But so you knew the people, right? You played football with them or sports or something. You saw them on a daily basis. Well, when I got to FAMU, I met black people from the Caribbean. I met black people from California, Chicago, Detroit, Canada, Africa. You know what I mean? You got all these different cultures of black people in one pot. And the experience is amazing, man, because everybody has something that they're bringing to the table, and you get to interact with these people and you learn from them and different things, and you listen to their music, and you develop all kinds of other appreciations that you would have never had you just been at some other school or maybe a predominantly white institution.
Okay, do you think it was an advantage going to HBCU over a major university?
Well, I think the advantage for me was personal. Not that someone else would have had the same sort of advantage. But at FAMU, I was able to get instruction from my professors, not just on my classwork, but really about life, you know. And I think I couldn't have gotten that anywhere else but FAMU. My professors were concerned about who I was going to be or who I could become, my professional development. And so I don't think I could have gotten that at a predominantly white institution. They would have been concerned about my personal professional development, you know. So I thank God for that. I thank God for those teachers who care, and the love, man. I don't think there's anyone from an HBCU who can't say that there is a professor that they weren't drawn to, or that professor who put their arms around them and sort of help guide them along the way throughout their matriculation. Like everybody, at least all my friends who went to HBCUs, got that one professor who did that for them. Yeah. I had the love from maybe about 5 or 6 of them, you know?
Right.
So yeah, man, that's why I said the advantage was something personal for me that I don't believe I could have gotten anywhere else.
You know, I had a conversation with one of my daughters. I was riding with her, and I say, darling, if you could be born in any era other than what you was born in, which era would it be? Mm-hmm. And she thought for a minute, and she say, I wouldn't want to be born in the past. I would only want to be born when I was born. Mm-hmm. I say, well, why is that? And she say, because of the way it was for black people. Mm-hmm. And see, I had to explain to her, I said, darling, actually, it was pretty good when we was just left to ourselves. You know?
Yeah.
I went to school with all black people. I mean, at my whole classroom, you go and see my kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, those pictures, it's all black. All the teachers black. Everybody's black. And it's like you get that the teacher was like an extension of mom. Mm-hmm. It was like an auntie. You know, the discipline was different than when I got to certain grades, and I understood this man is paddling me, but this man trying to hurt me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I could sense that this man is trying to hurt me. He don't give a damn about me. He's trying to hurt me. This lady is dissing me because I understood, well, I am wrong. You know I don't supposed to be doing this.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It was a difference. And, you know, and kids sense things very early. And sometimes we have to listen to these kids. You know what I mean? Certain people that have certain type of spirits, those kids won't go to them.
No.
Speaking on that, we know a mutual person, Will. Mm-hmm. And my daughter would never go to him. She would never go to him because it was the gold teeth in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? And she would, I'd be like, boy, you been pinching my baby or something, you know? She never went to Will because it was the gold teeth, because she'd be looking right in his mouth and she was pushing away. You know what I mean? But and that's so important to know that this person care about you beyond the classroom. Mm-hmm. You know, outside of just giving you uncle, big brother, father type vibes, and have these conversations when you're struggling with something outside of the curriculum, this man is or this woman is able to help propel you in life. That's so important, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. It is definitely important for children to see adults who look like them, so they don't feel as if they have to act a certain way. You know what I mean? Far too often, when you have, children who don't have the influences in their lives that look like them, they may feel as though they can't be, for whatever reason. We talk about things often, my wife and I, about, black teachers and how they're important. And not only are the black teachers important, but the black principals
Right.
are important, right? Those people who look like these little black and brown children who are also in leadership roles. So these kids can see, hey, I can be just like them.
That's right.
And I think that's why the whole world sort of fell in love when Barack Obama became the president of the United States. Here it is, the most powerful country in the world being ran by a black man.
And it's a psychological part to that. Like sometimes we complain about things like the police. We complain about the police, but we'll look down. We look at that as a job as bad. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'd rather be pulled over by you than him.
Right,
But I'm going to ridicule you for being a police officer. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I know I'm wrong. The bottom line is, just like the insurance companies, you can't fault them for putting that on their wall because their job is their business. Their job is to make much money as they can. And if you sweet enough to take the deal, they're going to give you the deal.
Right.
Bottom line. That's as simple as that. Okay, so if I know I'm wrong and you're a police officer and you do your job, why would I hold it against you and not hold it against someone that doesn't look like me? Or he has to do it because that's his job, but is it not your job also? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
And we look at each other bad for even taking that position. But wouldn't you rather be pulled over by me?
Exactly. And so I often have this conversation with a lot of my buddies who are also professionals. Some of them are police officers in this situation where they, tell stories about, hey, I pulled over this, African American black person who cussed me out, told me I was an Uncle Tom. And they were the one doing 20 miles over the speed limit, not me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing my job. You know what I mean? And so we have to sort of, as a culture, remove ourselves from that understanding. I think a lot of it is a vestige of slavery, whereas you had, quote unquote, the house Negro who, we've all heard stories about, there have been some sort of attempt to escape slavery or some sort of attempt to rebel against slavery, and then one of the slaves snitched. They go tell massa, and then everything gets turned upside down because master found out.
I'll put it this way: we all saw Django.
Yeah, exactly.
I ain't never wanted Samuel L. Jackson to die so bad in my life. Well, I was so happy when he got it.
Right. So that I think that mentality has sort of over the years for black people, if we've gone through this slavery, we've gone through this era called Reconstruction, Jim Crow era, Civil Rights Act, there's always that element still there of that classic slave snitch. And we look at the police as that being that person, and that's not the case at all.
See, a lot of people, the police force was created for the slaves. Like, okay,
yes.
Once we was considered free, so to speak, it was created to police us, to they couldn't back then. See, they called it the chain game because once you got arrested, they could get free labor out of you.
Of course, that's exactly what the slavery is now, right?
Right. So slavery was slavery, but then once they abolished slavery, but if you got arrested, they can get free labor out of you. So the police force was formed
Yeah.
You know, for that. And so when they arrested the blacks or whatever, they got this free labor. It was just another form of it. And a lot of times we say things ignorantly. We don't know where these things and these terms come from. And it's just, when you think about it, we understand psychological trauma. We understand generational curses, and it's things that you can remember your mother said to you. But her mother said that to her. And her mother said it to her. You may have never met your great-great-grandmother, but a saying that she had is still passed down to you today.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we miss Big Mama so much that we'll know to do right, but we'll do it because Big Mama said it. We trying to hold on to Big Mama legacy. Knowing that it's wrong, well, we know better, but that's the way Big Mama said it. That's the way you understand what I'm saying? And when you think about it, they really done a number on us, because they have done studies to where they would take like a mouse and put him in a cage, and every time he tried to climb out, they hit him upside the head, pop him. Every time he come up this top, they pop him. After so many times, he stopped trying to get out the top. Now it's no top on the top.
Right.
You know, I used to raise dogs, you know, and if that dog is born in a pen off of the ground and that dog never stepped down, that dog won't come down on its own. You can leave the door open and that dog won't come out because he's never been on the ground. Now, once you've taken him and put him on the ground, he's going to jump down. But that dog will never come out on its own. The door's open.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So these things, you know, and the mentality, you got to think, it wasn't long ago. Martin Luther King only been past 60 years. You know, we just had Rosa Parks Day, you know, here in Marion County.
Right.
It was just 70 years ago that, you know, these people doing these things to you. So the ones that's in charge, and we're only their grandchildren. Some of them, their children.
Right. So we're not actually in bondage as slaves anymore. Our minds are. It's that mental slavery that we got to free ourselves from.
You know, we're the only people that don't like ourselves. You know, me being in prison, if a Mexican guy come through that door, they ain't never seen him before. All the Mexicans gonna go to him, get him, take him, give him food, deodorant, toothpaste, soap, whatever he need, we got you. Now, you know, as he proved himself to be whatever he is, he could kick himself out of this bunch. You know what I'm saying? But initially on site, they're going to take care of everyone's responsibilities. Spanish, Puerto Rican, everything. Me and you, beef off top. We're looking to see how much food. It's a scam. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's crazy that we think like that. Why do you think that is?
Well, again, it is the society's effects on us. Slavery was the worst thing that ever happened to us. Some people say, "Oh, slavery wasn't so bad." Blah 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 blah. That's a bunch of BS, man. When you take someone and you convince them that they are less than someone else, and you make them believe that through whatever means, either you're beating the hell out of them, you're not feeding them, you are keeping them separated, you know, you're not letting their feet touch the ground, that kind of thing. You are creating someone who is going to feel like they're less human. And so that very idea, whether it's manifest through slavery, where you have people actually in chains, or you have post-slavery, whereas you've created these laws that say, okay, well, the loitering sign, no loitering, right? I learned in law school that there's some laws, maybe not now, but we're still on the books from Alabama that said 4 black people can't stand together downtown or they'll get arrested. You know what I mean? And so that kind of thing creates, you know, the sort of the culture,
and
right?
division,
and division as well, exactly, and makes us think that we are less than they are, and we will never be able to get to that level. So there's always this constant struggle about who's going to be the most accepted, that kind of thing. And that goes into self-hate. There's stories about the brown paper bag test where, black people, if your skin was darker than the brown paper bag, then you couldn't be accepted in certain churches. You couldn't be accepted in certain other organizations and things like that. So we were trying to separate ourselves from ourselves. And
I remember being in prison. You got ignorant people and everything. I admit now, you got some of us I don't want to be around. You understand what I'm saying? Let's go back to the conversation I said me and my dad had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got the black folks and you got the ends. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to be around the ends either. You know what I mean? And one of the most ignorant statements, they talking about women at the times. Jitterbugs talking. He said, boy, if it ain't white, it ain't right. He talking about the women.
Mm-hmm.
If it ain't white, it ain't right.
Self-hate, man.
That's his mind frame, and and even our women today, you see them, they wear the blonde hair, they put the contacts in their eyes. Well, who are you trying to look like? Who told you, who have you ever seen with blonde hair in her head and they was beautiful? Who told you that was beautiful? You understand what I'm saying?
Or who told you your black hair wasn't beautiful?
Exactly.
I'm reminded of there's a test from a long time ago. I think this was maybe the 50s and 60s where they were doing these tests with dolls and children, like elementary school children, and they would ask little girls which doll looks better than the other one, and the little black girl would always pick up the little white doll because that's what society told her, that the white was right. And so that kind of thing, man, is one of the most harmful things that could have come out of, this whole thing we call America, where we colonize, the Indians' land or the Native Americans' land. We take it from them, and then we go take some slaves and from Africa, and we beat them up, and we make them work our fields and nurse our kids and take care of them and do all these things, and we call it America. And then when it destructs or everything collapses on it, that system fails.
It's their fault.
Right.
And see, the narrative that we're lazy, black people lazy, don't want to work, don't want to do nothing. Black people built the country.
Hey, man, I think...
You know what I'm saying? I mean, just and then you understand the power of family. Mm-hmm. You understand the power of man. So therefore, we're going to separate the man from the house. So we'll give up these women. Y'all go have these children. We'll give them Section 8, food stamps, welfare. But one rule, can't no man be in here. Mm-hmm. And when they first started doing it, remember back in the 80s and stuff like that, they did inspections. They come in, they can't find no man clothes in this mm-hmm. house. So the importance of father in the home. Why a father can't be in the home? We're going to take all of this from you. So it encouraged our women to not do that. It's like when it comes to Donald Trump now, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. And I leave that at that. He one of a kind. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no man on this earth you gonna go 100% with. But some of the things he doing his knowledge by, some of it I'm like, okay, I understand that. Like, it's no need for a 22-year-old woman that's healthy just because you got 2 children that you shouldn't be able to work. I mean, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You should be able to go get a job. You should be able to work. You should be able to provide for yourself. I mean, come on now. Yeah, you got people around here that need it, and you got elderly people that's suffering and can't pay for. The other day I was in the store and this lady went in there and she was looking for a COVID test. Mm-hmm. And she was like, how much? And she was up to the windows trying to see if her insurance paid for it. And her insurance didn't pay for it. So the lady, like, you know what I'm saying? The point that she even in there trying to buy it. You know what I'm saying? The point that she feel like she need this. And I paid for the COVID test for the lady. You know what I'm saying? I ain't wealthy myself, but this lady need this. You know, she up to the register trying to pick. I said, well, I just tapped my card. There you go, man. God bless you. You know what I'm saying? So you got people like that needs it. Elderly lady suffering, you know what I'm saying? But she taking and get it. You don't work, but you got all your hair, your nails, you got, you know what I mean? That's crazy.
I think that personality type, that person who always wants something for nothing, is identifiable in every culture. White, black, you know, Hispanic, Latino,
it's
Asian.
good and bad and everything.
That kind of personality, right? What's different from the 22-year-old on quote unquote some sort of governmental assistance, living in the project, not working, and getting everything paid for, getting, you know, all kind of food stamps and benefits for the kids, and doesn't have a job? What's different from what she's doing than the blonde hair, blue eyed Wall Street executive who's manipulating the system to make himself wealthy beyond wealthy, cheating the system? It's still cheating.
Yep.
Right? There's no difference. And I think a lot of times what we do in our society is we glorify the blonde hair, blue eyed, you know, business exec. You know, you see all kinds of movies, Wolf of Wall Street, all those kinds of movies that glorify that kind of image. Whereas turns around, you got, even in politics, trying to make these black women look like welfare queens. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So it is perspective. But I think that, you know, I call it get over on a person mentality, right? It's across the board, man, and I've seen it. It's greed.
Yeah.
It's all kinds of things.
And see, and they'll make laws like fraud. See, I tell them all the time, I believe in systematic depression. Systematic, right? You know what I mean? They'll make a law for everyone, but it only targets certain people. ISIS. You know, who is targeting? You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's for anyone that's illegal, anyone that's not. But you're targeting certain people.
Of course.
You understand what I'm saying? That you know they got a sagging law. Who sag? You understand what I'm saying? You don't tell another man how to wear his clothes. I mean, I don't pull your pants up, of course, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't do it. But you understand what I'm saying? The point there of that law is in place to target a certain group of people.
Yep.
But I can go and embezzle millions of dollars and get 6 months probation.
Slap on the wrist.
Because who commits those crimes?
Yep.
They just start punishing pedophiles, you know, like really punishing them because who committed those crimes? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, I just think that going into a courtroom, that man shouldn't be able to give, if two men come in there, one white, one black, same charges, he shouldn't get 5 and I get 30. Same charge. That man shouldn't have that much discretion. It should be a bottom line. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you did this the punishment, bam. So whoever, white, blue, orange, green, it's the same. You know what I'm saying? They'll say mitigating factors, you know, these terms and these, you know.
Well, that's why we need to be involved in the system. You see, black attorneys make up about 2% of the total lawyer population.
But why?
Because of all of those issues that we just talked about. Not having the opportunities, or if having the opportunities, one mistake could ruin your entire life, to whereas you've just taken yourself out of the pool of people who would have the opportunities.
I'm gonna tell you something that took place. I want to tell me, do you think this to be true? You know, I interviewed a young man maybe about 2 years ago, and he was telling me a story about how he was approached to be. He's very well spoken, very educated, and they wanted him to run for office, and he kind of like, no, you know, you know. So, but they wanted him to run for office because he's a young black man, very educated, very well spoken. They wanted him to be the puppet. You know what I mean? We could, you know what I mean, kind of move around and, you know, we could, you know, influence this area, that area. We got a black guy to go do this, okay? So he kind of said, you know, no, he was going to do it, but then he changed his mind. So then, you know, invite him to the little functions and everything. He still would mingle. And a particular person came up to him, you know, and said basically, you know, are you sure you don't want to accept this? You know, we put a lot into you, you know, you know, basically it's your last chance. Mm-hmm. He said, yeah, I don't want to do it. You know, I'm not going to do it. Within 3 days, he was brought up on charges for, like, doing something inappropriate. Mm. And so he stood on it, didn't do it. First of all, they suspended him with pay. But this type of thing, he's supposed to be suspended without pay. Okay. You know, they just wanted to teach him a lesson. You know, try to get him to change his mind, whatever. So he held firm. And they wanted to make him a felon so they could script his degrees, script him from his job that he does. Okay. So he held firm. So they let him keep his credentials. But they just they dropped it down lesser charges, but they just wanted to show him, to prove him, to put him in his place. Like Bill Cosby, like Art Kelly, like whoever else. You know what I'm saying? You know how they do. Okay, so a couple years later, he out here on a job, man. They get this man pretty much for the same thing they tried to accuse him of. And I mean, they run him through the mills. I mean, run his name all through the paper and everything. And now he went a couple months ago and went to trial. He's a fighter. I mean, he's facing some serious time, but he fought it and he won that trial. You won't see it nowhere in the paper. You don't see it nowhere. And what's sad is that our own community, when it came out, you know, when they first arrest you, they blast you. Mm-hmm. We condemned him and convicted this man already. We're not the judge, juror, the prosecutor. We convicted this man already. That's back to that mentality. Yeah. You know what I mean? Who do you think you are? You in the house, you know what I'm saying? Because he was, you know, he's educated, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's almost like we're glad to see him fall. Yeah. Now, when this man won trial, nobody got on and said, you know what, man, you know, I apologize for saying that. You know, I'm sorry for doing that. You know what I mean? Hey, that man, for all y'all, I want all y'all to know this man wasn't guilty. You understand what I'm saying? Right. And that's so sad, man. That's so, but the point I was making is that the people that who was coming to him, if they don't get their way, it's like we could show you, we could ruin you just like that.
Yeah, man. It's unfortunate. And you see that sometimes in politics. You see it in things like when you have these corporate structures. Mm-hmm. Whereas, you know, if you're not playing along with what that business culture or what that political culture is a part of or is about, if you're not willing to be a willing participant, you're an outsider. And so they're going to show the outsider they should have been playing along if they wanted to be successful
in this club.
Right, right. And so that's, I see that a lot. And it's unfortunate that man went through that. I'm glad he was able to be victorious in the courtroom and come out of that, man. But think about his mental, you know, stress and that emotional distress.
And it's like being in the courtroom and I say something I don't supposed to say, and then they were like, well, strike that from the jury. The jury can't unhear it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, you can't unhear it. So, you know, how you blasted this, the state, you know, people see him for the rest of his life and say, oh, he's a such and such. Mm-hmm. When he was convicted, O.J. Simpson, a killer, even though he got found innocent. Yeah. They still say O.J. killed the people. The man went to court, won the trial. Michael Jackson, a pedophile. Man won trial, but you still call him that. Because once that's in there, the image is painted, you can't erase it. out of some people's brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely something that society we have to grow up from. You know, being able to recognize that human beings are not perfect. People make mistakes. You know, part of love is about forgiveness. You know what I mean? And so if someone has, we'll just say, transgressed against society in some sort of way, if they can come back and be a better person, you should accept them as the better form of themselves now, and not the person that they used to be.
And not hold so much against them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Why can't a felon vote? If he's served his time, he couldn't vote while he was in prison. If he's free now, he paid taxes. He should be able to vote.
I mean, we could talk about that, man, because who are they arresting, right? Who are they dropping these felonies on, right? And then once they've done this, they make a law that says the felon can't vote. Well, who's the person who's the felon?
Yeah,
the person that
exactly.
looks like us, right?
Exactly.
And so that takes that person or that vote away.
Systematic depression.
Yeah,
That's what we say. They make the laws for everyone, but who does the law affect?
It's a level of what they also call voter suppression. You know, you lock up the voting pool that are potentially going to vote against you, and they can't vote no more.
So let me ask you something. So being the baby, they say the baby get more advantages. That's a true statement.
Yeah, I do. I believe that. Here's why. The baby is always trying to keep up with the pack. In my family, my brother and my sister were like my life. You know, we were a single parent household. My mom worked sometimes 2-3 jobs. So either she was asleep because she was tired from working so much, or she was at work.
Mm-hmm.
So Margot and Will, right? I had to keep up with them. And so that made me better. I'm not saying that it made me better than them, but I can guarantee you, if it wasn't for my sister, I wouldn't have been writing as early as I was. If it wasn't for my brother, I may not have been as musically talented as I was. I was playing the drums at 5 years old in church because I was trying to be like my brother. Mm-hmm. I was, on the football team, not the biggest or the strongest, but my brother had always told me, you hit them the hardest you can first, and then see what happens. Exactly. They know you not playing. Mm-hmm. And so I had to learn that from them. So I think if you look at that baby or birthing order or whatever you call it, the kid that learns from the most, benefits the most. Right. So I had.
And also the same mother that raised Will and ain't the same mother that raised you.
Right.
Because it's years difference.
Right.
7-8 years, you're a different person.
Right.
I've been through these experiences and, I've learned this now. Just do whatever you want to do, Aunt, man. you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And at the same, leave my baby alone.
Yeah.
It's my baby. Leave my baby alone.
Yeah.
So when you as father, so you have kids yourself also.
Yeah, I got
correct?
2 boys.
Okay. Do you find yourself favoring that first is that first now? Ooh.
Ooh. Hey man, so it's my 2 boys are 10 years apart. Ooh. So very different times of my life in their upbringing. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but they're generations apart. So I don't get the same personality that I got from one versus the other. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to adjust to that.
And also, you're different. Mm-hmm. You're a different person than you were 10 years ago.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's more important because I think kids are kids. What you put in them is what you get out. They're like a little computer. Mm-hmm. Whatever they eyes, they see, they hear, that's what they spit out. And you know, we're different people. We grow. Like society nowadays, a lot of times they don't hold their kids accountable because they want their kids to be better than what they were. No matter, you don't say that to my kids, you know, da-da-da. You know, they jump on you, you know what I mean, all this shit about their kids.
Right.
And it's no accountability. But the court system going to hold them accountable.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They're going to hold them accountable. If you don't want to hold them accountable, they get down in that courthouse, they're going to hold them accountable.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying? I just seen a video the other day where it used to be when you see any adult as a kid, you're going to respect that adult.
Mm-hmm.
About 4 or 5 little girls wanted to jump on the little girl. So the mama got out the car, said, y'all stop that. Y'all don't need to be out here fighting or whatever. You know what them 4 or 5 girls did? Whooped that mama behind.
Oh, man.
They jumped on the mama and the little girl.
Boy, yeah, that's sad.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, and the other, they filming it, laughing. I mean, it's all fun.
Mm-hmm.
See, because to those little kids, ain't no punishment. What's gonna happen? I'm a kid. My mom and dad are gonna back me, but when them people come, them people gonna take, and then they videoing it.
Right.
Take your dumb butt right on the juvenile. Take your butt right on the jail.
Recording all the evidence.
And see, and it's like, you know, oh, they're kids, they're children, they don't know or whatever. Here come Thomas and Thomas, y'all. Personal injury. That lady was about 47 years old. Them 5, 6, 13-year-olds got on her behind. Thomas and Thomas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where Thomas and Thomas come in at.
Yeah, man.
So, you know, how has fatherhood been like?
Fatherhood has been some of the most rewarding and trying times of my life. I definitely am happy to be able to say that I had a hand in my children's upbringing, or I was there for my sons, you know, more than my father was there for me. You know what I'm saying? I take pride in that, and I think if you want to be a better person, period, you want to do things. Not saying that what our parents did was wrong. It's just that you want to be able to build upon what you learned from them. Yeah. And do better. I mean, that's what life is about: growing, getting better, and doing things better.
So you think you got one more in you? You got a little girl in you? Shop
Closed, boss. Shop closed, boss.
Shop and wallet. Did you ever want a daughter?
I think at some point I would have been happy with a daughter. I thank God that I have 2 boys because I get to do the man things with my boys. You know what I mean? Fishing and things like that. So not to say that I wouldn't have been a great girl dad, because if I had a girl and she wanted to go fishing, we go fishing. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I appreciate that God has blessed me with 2 healthy kids. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you what, man. Raising daughters give you a different perspective of life. Mm-hmm. You know, it makes you respect. You see women different. You know what I'm saying? And like my youngest daughter, she's tomorrow she will be 24 years old. Tomorrow.
And that's your youngest.
That's my youngest daughter.
Congratulations.
She'll be 24, and the conversations and just the you know, their interests are different. You know, she's big on, you know, she's kind of preppy, you know, fashionable. So, you know, she kind of, Dad, which one of these outfits, you know what I mean? And I have to look at this, you know, I have to like, you know what I'm saying? It's just things like that. It brings a different side of you. Mm-hmm. You know, see, when, you know, you don't have to let your man guards down when you're dealing with your sons, because you're still a man. Right. At all times. You constantly teaching them to be a man. But see, when you're dealing with a girl, it's different. You know, it kind of brings out another side of you. You understand what I'm saying? And you look at things different because they're going to see it different. Like, those women are different. They see the world different. Women are, I hate to say, naturally a woman is more intelligent than a man.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Intellectual wise, women
personal reasons. Yeah.
The married man, ladies, married man. Yeah. I tell you what, though, Ant, we're going to play a game called Fill in the Blank.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you some questions.
Okay.
You answer quickly, precisely, to the point. First thing come to mind is no right or wrong.
All right.
You ready?
Okay.
I've always wanted to.
On a boat.
I love when someone.
Loves me back.
If I had to do it all over again, I would.
Become a doctor.
My favorite holiday is.
My birthday.
My favorite cereal is.
Frosted Flakes.
He-Man or Thundercat?
Thundercats.
Superman or Batman?
Batman.
Spider-Man or the Incredible Hulk?
Spider-Man.
It aggravates me when people.
Don't listen to me.
The best quality someone can have is.
Learning.
If I was God, the first thing I would do is.
Push the reset button.
My childhood crush was. You better be Rudy or somebody. You better say somebody over TV.
Rudy.
If I had to travel anywhere in the world, it would be.
Africa.
My favorite movie is.
Harlem Nights.
If I could go back to any age, it would be.
35.
Jesus is.
My everything.
When I first meet someone, the first thing I notice is what?
Their eyes.
If I could ask God one question, it would be.
Can I live forever?
My greatest strength is.
Listening.
My greatest weakness is.
Working.
The biggest misconception about Anthony Thomas is what?
I don't think I can answer that quickly. I guess the biggest misconception about me is that I'm, some people may perceive me as being uptight. They hear the thing, you're a lawyer and you got to be a certain way, but I'm really just an average guy, man. Really am.
Straight old Ant.
Pretty much.
I got the right to say Ant, ladies and gentlemen. I could call him Ant. Ant Banks, whatever. Okay, I'm a pretty good guy, but I draw a line in the sand if you.
Say something wrong about my family.
I love my children because
they're my children.
If I had to star in a movie with any actor, it would be
Halle Berry.
You better call her before I call her. Oh, Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey?
Whitney Houston.
Aretha Franklin or Patti LaBelle?
Aretha Franklin.
LL Cool J or Kool Moe Dee?
LL Cool J.
Florida State or the Gators?
Florida State.
FAMU or Bethune-Cookman?
FAMU. Have me going back to Tallahassee getting beat up.
Tom Brady or Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning.
What? Over Tom the Bomb? Hey, you a lawyer. You got to go with results, man. You got to go with the Super Bowl, baby.
Correct. You're right. But
Peyton Manning, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Barry Sanders or Emmitt Smith?
Emmitt Smith.
Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson.
Man, we better settle with Johnson & Johnson, man. We don't want to go to... Oh, I tell you what, man. This is a part of the episode. It's called AMA, where you, Anthony Thomas, get to ask me, William Robinson, anything.
Would you consider interviewing someone who is a member of a racist organization, say for instance, the KKK?
Yes, I would. I believe that understanding is everything. You know, and I also believe, how could you know your opponent if you don't study him? But I think everybody have a right. That's what makes America America. Everybody have a right to freedom of speech and how they feel. I don't think his hate will stop my love. I believe that love overcomes hate. So I can make him look at me different. His hate for blacks can start with me loving me, because I'm going to show him love, him or her, love and respect. And I'm quite sure they will walk away feeling different about black people in general. Like I said once before, it's something I see. I lock my door when I see them coming too. You understand what I'm saying? So everyone is not the same. Like you said before, it's good and bad in every bunch, every apples. It's a bad one in there somewhere. So you can't judge a whole race. A lot of time it's just experiences and things they have been taught. But I would love to interview one of them.
Good. I feel the same way. Sometimes I've been asked, would I ever represent someone in that situation or from that particular background? And the answer is yeah, I would.
Because one thing about interviewing is who, what, when, where, and why. You tell me you hate me, why? Where, when? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I think a lot of them is ignorant. Hate itself is ignorant. So the Bible tells me love overcomes all things. Love conquers evil.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you just love him, and he had a right to feel the way he feel. I respect the man that'll sit there in that chair and tell me that. I fear the lawyer that feel the same way. That's the one I'm afraid of. I fear the doctor that feel the same way.
Or the judge, yeah.
Or the judge that feels the same way. But the doctor and the lawyer, he's smiling in my face. See, the judge ain't smiling in my face. I know what he gonna do. You understand what I'm saying? But that lawyer, you paying him to screw you. See, he's smiling in your face. You understand what I'm saying? He's being deceptive. Right. You know what I'm saying? I was never taught as a kid to hate white people. I was taught, you watch him, son. You watch him. And yes, hey.
Well, rightfully so. I mean, if you grow up in a society where black people are mistreated by white people, would you not think it's fair to warn your children about certain things that they may happen when you're not around them? So yeah, I get it.
The best analogy I ever heard was by Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali he said, he made the statement that he's saying he don't believe all white people are bad, but he said if there's a 1,000 rattlesnakes coming to bite me, but out of that 1,000, it's 100 good ones. Should I close the door and shut all of them out? Shut out the 100 good ones with the 900 bad ones? Or should I let them in and hope that the 100 are going to save me from the 900? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I also believe that sometimes black people are more racist than white people.
I think racism, period, is a trait that we all somehow can both feel as well as experience.
See, to me, it's a difference in being racist and being prejudiced. See, prejudice comes from the word preference. I prefer Popeyes over KFC. I prefer Pizza Hut over Domino's.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I prefer Crunches and Munches over all of them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just my preference. So
right.
You may say I'm prejudiced towards KFC when it comes to Popeyes. You feel me?
Right.
It's just a preference. And I think racism is more hate-driven. You're choosing one over the other.
When you make someone feel like they're less than you based on the color of their skin, it's evil.
That's evil, and that's racist. That's what some people say. Well, you're prejudiced, because I think some people are prejudiced. That's like me. Like I truly love people. I mean what I say. I mean what I display. You know what I'm saying? I've always had a very discerning spirit. You understand what I'm saying? Like I don't care to lay down with a Caucasian woman. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a desire to. I can say, that's a pretty white lady. Just like that's a nice truck. You know what I'm saying? But I don't lust for them. You know what I mean? It's not a desire. But I don't think that I know I'm not racist. I'm not prejudiced. You know what I'm saying? But I guess that could be a prejudice. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes, as a black man, sometimes, like the other day, I was downtown and, you stop downtown in the car and the people walk past and it was a black lady with a white man. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of look, you know what I'm saying? And, you whatever, but, it's like we all have thoughts. Like it's what people so ignorantly do, what people don't want to acknowledge. Every one of us have a rapist in us, a murderer, a thief, a criminal. It's a criminal in each and every one of us. It's your ability to sustain your integrity. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Just because, it's the thought comes, it's up to you to shield it away. It's up to you to push it aside. You understand what I'm saying?
Choices.
Choices. You're married. Just because you're married, every woman is not ugly. That's why you want to be in that movie with Halle Berry. but you see what I'm saying, though? Right. But it's your integrity to honor your vows. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so all of us have that, everything that's evil is within us because we were born evil. You understand? We were born in the sin. That's according to the Bible. So
yes.
We have to be renewed transformed by the renewing of our mind. So it's natural. You don't have to tell a kid, when you see a kid that bite and say stop or whatever, you say, well, that kid don't have no home training. That means that you didn't teach them right. Because it's in them to bite. Mm-hmm. When them teeth go to come in, them jokers gonna bite. So you understand what I'm saying? You have to teach them the right way.
Yeah.
And some of the people teaching were just not taught the right way. Like I remember when I was picking my jury, they come in, they give their address. A lot of them was from the forest, and you go to a jury. A lot of them white people, long beards down here. And you go to looking and you stereotype and you be like, oh, Lord, goodness, you know what I'm saying? But them are some of the most, the term redneck is some of the most loyal people on the earth. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You got those because he feel like, by God, I didn't see it. I wasn't there. I ain't going to say he did it and that's that. You know what I mean? Them some of the hardest people to convince in the jury room in there.